There's a line in your contract that can cost you thousands of dollars, and you'll never get it back if you cancel the deal. Most veterans sign it without even knowing it's there. Now, here's the problem: your real estate agent writes the offer, your lender funds the loan, but neither one of them live in both worlds the way I do, doing this for 25 years, plus being a real estate instructor and serving in the military. And the gap between these two roles are exactly where veterans get burned. So, in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the exact clauses inside your VA offer, the ones that protect your earnest money, your appraisal, your repairs, your right to walk away. You miss one of these, and you could be stuck in a contract you can't get out of. My name is David Piatek. I am a loan officer and able to help you utilize that amazing VA home loan. You can schedule a call with me down below. So, first thing that we're going to be talking about is everyone focuses in on the purchase price and buying a property, right? We've seen this in today's market where you're making offer after offer, and then all of a sudden you waive all these contingencies. We get the contract, we go through it with you, and then all of a sudden you're in shock. That's why we're making this video, because we see this all the time. Okay. So everyone focuses in on the purchase price itself because that's where their monthly payment's going to be. But there's so many additional terms to the contract. So one of them is going to be your earnest money deposit. Now, this deposit, even though you're doing 100% financing, most of the time, I would say like 99.99% of the time, personally, I've seen an earnest deposit. It could be as little as $500 and it could be as much as you want it to be. Okay. That earnest money typically can go, well, it can get done in two stages, right? Once you go under contract, you then submit for the earnest deposit. It could be an initial fee of, let's just say, $1,000. And there could be a secondary deposit that's additional to that that can come later after certain type of contingencies are going to be cleared. And I'm going to go over those here in a little bit. But there's another type of fee that can also be charged, which is called a due diligence fee. Now, this is common from my experience, right? Buying a place in North Carolina, where I had to do a due diligence fee plus an earnest money deposit. So, due diligence fee is basically, I don't know, like why some states have it and others don't, but it's important to ask because if you don't, yeah, and then you go under contract, you have to give this money up, this money you're not getting back. So you got to understand your strategy, right? So like when we did ours, we did 1,000 earnest deposit because we really wanted to get this property, and it was land, so it should have been pretty straightforward. It ended up not, but that's a whole nother video. I can walk you guys through that. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to do a video on land purchasing, because it is another way to build wealth over time, especially if you're not going to be at that property or do anything with it. I did do a video similar to that a while ago, so you guys check out the channel and let me know what you guys think. So you paid 1,000, right? So that's what we did. So hey, if we walked away from the contract, we'd lose that money. But then we did also another $1,000 earnest deposit check. So if we walked away from the contract for whatever reason from our contingencies, which one of them was to pass like a what was it, for a septic and well inspection, right? So I wanted to make sure that that was covered. Otherwise, I'd be buying land I can't build a house on, right? So that would kind of defeat the point. And then that money I would get back if I cancel the contract, right? So those are important aspects of just understanding going under contract, right? Purchase price, you have your earnest deposit, is there a due diligence fee? Now let's go over the parts that protect you. Now, this first one is going to be state specific because it can be, well, it'll be either an attorney review period, right? So if you're in a state that uses attorneys, then basically this is going to be like a 5 to 7 day grace period that you can do a home inspection and then kind of negotiate with the seller. This attorney review period can be extended out, right? We've seen that extended out all the way up to the right before closing. So not every state has that, but this is why you could talk with your agent and just kind of make sure you understand what it is that process looks like before you even sign a contract. Review the contract itself. Now, with that, in a way, right, because you have the attorney review period that's state specific, but then in most places, you also will have a home inspection contingency. Now, this home inspection contingency is that you go out with a home inspector, a licensed home inspector, which is again not required per VA, but they encourage you. I encourage you, and anyone that doesn't encourage you is not looking out for your best interest. I promise you that. But this is where, if you take a home inspector out, just know there's going to be issues. We've got a ton of videos on it. There's always something with every single house. So don't be too scared, right? It's like 30 pages of disaster, but it's going to be fine. So in that time, when you get that home inspection, you can go back to the seller and say, hey, I want these repairs fixed. Otherwise, I'm not buying the property, or you kind of negotiate with them. Now, be careful because you can waive your home inspection. Okay. We'll see that in certain parts of the country where people straight up waive the home inspection, and I personally don't recommend that. Um, in other parts of the country, people will bring home inspectors to just even look at a property when they're making an offer on it so they can waive it. I think that's crazy, because if you look at a ton of properties, like, that gets expensive crazy fast, right? It's like $400 to $800 for every one of these inspections. But some people are just in a market where it's just crazy like that, and sellers are looking for these home inspection waivers. Again, I think that's something that you have to kind of figure out on your own. Another piece that they kind of throw in there, you'll see like on listings, is they'll say as is condition, meaning that they're saying, hey, you can get a home inspection, but we're not doing any repairs. Just a heads up, so you know exactly what that looks like. The next thing that you want to understand is going to be your closing date. And this piece can move, okay? You're 30 days out, or sometimes people do, 60 days out. Typically, we don't really see longer out closings. Normally, it's a 30-day period. But if you're on active duty PCSing, there's different circumstances that can happen with that. There's also sellers that want to sell their place because they want to buy another property. So technically, you can negotiate what's called a rent back. So you close within 30 days, but you're not going to move into that house until 60 days later. Essentially, you buy the house from the sellers, giving them their money so they can go there, buy their property, and then they rent their house from you, right? So that's a great option. Just because we'll get calls where, like, hey, agent calls us like, hey, the sellers really need to close sooner, but then they'll just rent the property back. They'll normally do some type of earnest money holdback for that, not an attorney. But that's normally how we've seen it go down. So just kind of keep that in mind, okay? But that closing date can shift based on, let's say, inspection timelines, appraisal timing, repairs, title issue, loan conditions. Once you're about a week and a half out, normally we can tell, like, okay, this is going to close on this target date. But just be careful, because a lot of people will get all their moving stuff, have everything set up, and then all of a sudden an issue comes up. Next thing I want to talk about is the appraisal contingency along with your VA Amendatory Escape Clause. Okay. So on a VA home loan, right, in general, right, we have it on every single disclosure we send out for a VA home loan is the VA Amendatory Clause. Essentially, it's built in to protect veterans, okay? If the appraisal comes in short by even a dollar, which I haven't seen, but let's just say a dollar, and you're like, you know what? I want the seller to bring the price down by $1. Otherwise, I'm not buying it. That clause gives you the right to walk away and get that earnest and get your earnest money back, right? You have to be careful, because the VA has this built into the loan itself, but you can basically get yourself out of that protection, if that makes sense. So in your contract, there's an appraisal contingency. Some people will waive the appraisal contingency altogether, which is highly risky, but uh, essentially they're like, hey, if the property appraises, great. If it doesn't, I'll cover the gap. Okay. There's also a gap coverage that you can get. Not gap coverage, but like essentially you can say, like, if the appraisal comes in lower up to X amount of dollars, you're willing to come in with that money. Now, a lot of people, for some reason, think that you can't do that with the VA home loan because of this VA amendatory clause. Just remember, like, we've seen this all the time. Okay. So this isn't something like in theory that you can do. You could 100% do this. Um, you can, in your contract, say, hey, I will pay up to $20,000 difference if the appraisal comes in lower, right? Like a gap appraisal. And then basically, if it comes in 20 grand lower, you come to the table with an extra 20,000 plus your closing costs as needed. Okay. So just keep that in mind, that is possible to do that. Let me know in the comment section if you've actually run across that as well, because I think it's very, very important. Another big one is the financing contingency. A financing contingency is where you will get approved for the loan, right? Essentially, it's like a mortgage commitment saying you're clear to close. That's part of your financing contingency component. Um, Normally, there's also rules in there and how fast you have to get submitted to underwriting. So make sure you read that through. Listen, it's a ton of pages. Like it's like sometimes 20-page long contracts. You know, like I have to read all this. You do want to read through it because you need to know these contingencies because they affect your earnest money. And in some markets, actually in any market, you can do a competitive earnest money deposit, right? Where you're like, hey, I know my closing costs are going to be like 20 grand in this area. You could make an offer and then put a $20,000 earnest deposit down to show them because you're getting 100% financing. They may not really understand the VA loan. That's a whole separate video on understanding your team structure when you're making offers, just because a lot of people say they know how to use VA loans, but they definitely don't know how to do them. All right, the next one's going to be understanding your pre-negotiated repair amounts for the minimum property requirements for a VA home loan. If that confused you, I have a whole bunch of videos on the VA appraisal process you guys could check out. So essentially, uh, we'll see buyers and buyers agents pre like put in up to X amount of dollars in repairs in the event the appraisal comes back with VA's minimum property requirements, right? So let's just say there's something wrong with the property. The VA is like, nope, we can't finance it because of those issues. You've already pre-negotiated those things into it. Reality is that it may make your contract a little bit, it may make it less competitive, but again, you really need to understand that. A couple other things that you can negotiate are going to be things like wood destroying insect inspection. The VA changed its rules, buyers can pay for that. You also want to look out for the lead-based disclosure. If you have HOA documents, um, you also want to be able to review those, and then after that, then you want to sign off on purchasing the property. Condos have a lot more to do with them when it comes to like all the financials and stuff like that. You do need to understand that there can be occupancy and post occupancy possession. That's where I talk about doing a rent back. Sometimes people will make to make their offers more competitive, they will give the sellers like a month free living in the house while they pay the mortgage. Okay. So again, not saying this is the way to do it. I'm just telling you there's options out there. A lot of people just don't know them because when I present them all these options we talk about right now, they're like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Also, in the contract is going to be seller concession. Okay, so it's going to tell you if the sellers are giving you a credit. If you need one, you better know that it's in there. We've seen it where we've told agents and clients like, hey, you need a credit for closing because you don't have enough, and then we get a contract that doesn't have a credit. Come on. So you gotta know that. Read through the whole contract. Another thing that a lot of people kind of miss, and it kind of goes on the side, is personal property. So sometimes we'll have sellers they'll leave a bunch of stuff right in for the for the buyer, like they'll leave lawnmowers, grills. Sometimes they just leave the whole house. Like that happened to me when I bought my place because it was an estate sale. I just told like they just basically said like, look, you could have the whole house and everything in it, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be great. Like $12,000 later, hiring people to throw everything out was also an interesting experience. So keep that in mind if that happens to you. But they do write that into the contract. So you got to remember that your earnest money is usually protected by a bunch of clauses. You have to review the contract and ask your agent to walk you through it so you know where you stand. I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Has this happened to you? Have you thought of these before? And do you think that any of these would make your offer more competitive if you put it in or you took it out of your contract? I'll catch you guys on the next video.